I was very tempted to go into Epic versus Creature, into Ryung, into Solar. Really good matches going on down there. I wish them all the best of luck as we are diving into our fresh best of 3. And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Alkione, we have our blue Protoss player from Lena, Poland, representing Team Liquid. It is MaNa. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the Finnish Zerg player, the blue Zerg, representing Berserker Esports. It is Mixu. Let's go. Again, Mixu just now coming out of a wild ZVT. It was a 53, 54, almost like 55-minute game between Mixu and Zero. Went the distance. And it was just a very, very scrappy game between the two of them. In the end, Mixu did come out on top. And we'll see if he can perform against a player of the caliber of MaNa. MaNa, likewise, has been on the rise as of late. These past couple of months, we've seen some better and better results out of MaNa. I'm always reminded it was like 2 months ago. It was just before DreamHack Dallas where MaNa took down a big game in ESL Open Cup Europe, for example. Like, MaNa's been getting some surprising results in the PvP and PvT matchup, but what about PvZ? What about against Zerg players? I'm ready. I'm excited. Show us what you got. Show us what you got. As for now, MaNa settling into his gate expanded to Cybercore. Meanwhile, Mixu back across the map, going for a hatch gas pool standard opener himself. We're settling in. Again, there is a lot to go over when it comes to all those results in the current bracket state. Well, we'll get around to it. We'll get around to it, I'm sure. As for now, we're just easing our way into the ZVP. Nothing too crazy yet. As for now, we have our Stargate follow-up. Going to be gate expand into Cybercore, into the Stargate here for MaNa. Should be for Oracles, but we'll keep an eye on MaNa to see if he spices things up with a Void Ray opener, for example. Keep an eye on him. Meanwhile, Mixu, likewise, expanding, taking his third base, just droning up, and looking to keep up with the Adept and Oracle aggression. We do have our first Adept moving out. We have a Stalker on the way, not a second Adept for MaNa. Interesting. So he's not going to be as heavily reliant on these initial Adepts moving out. Not really looking to get too much damage, just scouting, poking in. But the one Adept on its own shouldn't really get too much done here. We do slip into the main base. We do manage to wall off in time. Oh my god. The drones are saved. The Adept zoned away. And Mixu holds. Mixu does hold on. Meanwhile, there's that first unit of choice. Going to be an Oracle opener here out of MaNa. Ling does confirm the third. And the first Oracle is moving out across the map. It's just going to be Oracle harass. Again, we have cut Adept production and Adept aggression. So it's just going to be Oracles for the time being. And Mixu does have 2 queens in the main, so we should be able to minimize our losses here. Getting 1 drone in the main, getting a second. Not quite, just the 1 drone. And MaNa is forced back. Does take a lot of hull damage for 1 worker. Not worth it so far. MaNa hoping for more damage. Meanwhile, across the map, do you see what I see? I see a Twilight Council. I see additional gateways. I do not see a Forge. This could be one of 2 things. Glaive Adepts have been quite trendy. You know, into fast Glaive Adepts have been quite trendy as of late. Otherwise, we could see a hero variation of a Blink Stalker. So fast Blink into a Blink Timing. And there it is. Blink is on the way. So the way this works is because we're rushing into Blink so quickly, because we're delaying upgrades in the Forge, we can be active as soon as possible. We can move out with a good amount of Stalkers. This can lead into a 3-base all-in where we skip out on gases and go up to 8 gates. So we'll keep an eye on the gateway count. Regardless, MaNa is going to be in the face of Mixu a little bit early on with those Blink Stalkers as we get into the natural. We bust on in. Ooh, 1 Oracle goes down. We get 6 drone kills. I believe that is 7 worker kills in total for 1 Oracle. Pretty good trade for MaNa. He would have liked to have kept his Oracles alive, but again, 7 drone kills is not a bad trade. Mixu checks the 3rd base. Stalkers are now moving out. Now, what I'm a little bit concerned by is... Yeah, okay, there we go. I was going to say, because we lost an Oracle, this Stalker move out is actually a little bit risky, but that's why now we're making a 3rd. Making a 3rd Oracle here in response to losing an Oracle earlier to make sure these Stalkers have support. To make sure that we can sustain ourselves. Prism is on the way. Still only 4 gates, so we should be either expanding or taking extra gases to tech up. MaNa is moving out, but is not all in by any means. Shield batteries on the way, probe moving out to expand. Mixu trying to get eyes on the linear 4th base, on the 4th on right hand side. Unable to find anything yet, moving out with his links towards the left. Stalkers have arrived. We can even force a cancel on the gold. And there's that cancel on the gold base. Rotating around, headed for the 4th. 10 roaches in production, but they're not ready yet. Queen's under fire. And so far, so good. No Stalkers have gone down. Lings are being cleaned up. We're getting on top of the Queens. MaNa is breaking through. And Mixu just a little bit too greedy as Queens are going down one after the other. And 3 Queens fall. We get a 4th Queen. We get a 5th Queen. And this is getting out of hand. This is getting far too out of hand, far too quickly. And MaNa has broken Mixu. Again, behind this, MaNa's expanding, working on +1 attack. Gateways are on the way as well. This push wasn't meant to kill, but it may just have. They're able to focus down even more roaches. Again, this is the power of the fast blink. We got so much done. Looking at the trades here, it was 4 Queens, it was 7 roaches, 4 Overlords. And we're not done. Remember, there's barely any creep here. And MaNa's Stalker count has been building up over time. 4th base did take a lot of damage, but is still up and running. And leagues are being cleaned up. We're getting some of the roaches. Expensive losses for Mixu. And it may just be too much to handle here. Like, the dominoes have fallen one after the other. Mixu barely holding. Across the map, 4th base getting fully saturated. Charge now on the way. No additional gases yet. Mixu barely holds. At least keeps the base alive. As the 4th. And with this thing run by, what can we get done? We can even... Okay. I was like, can we go for the base? Can we get the Nexus? Not quite. Does survive. Does hold on. Oh, as more Queens are going down. Going for the base! Okay, going for the 4th hatchery. Mixu knocked down to 3 bases. Ay, ay, ay. And Mixu's not out of the woods yet. Nowhere near. Mixu going for a desperation counterattack, hoping to force a recall. But the supply block is real, catching so many Overlords. 3, 4, 5, 6 more Overlords going down. Mixu going for the counterattack. We have the overcharge. We have the recall. The Nexus does fall, but we clean up every single Ravager. Expensive loss here for Mixu. Losing everything. And again, the base counts are even. MaNa with a better economy, with now a better and larger army. Incorporating Immortals. Charges finishing up as well. And Mixu is in trouble. Mixu is in trouble. As the Stalkers, they dive out 4. They catch 2 more of these Queens. Queens do go down. And remember, we lost all of our Ravagers earlier. There's 1 Ravager left. Oracles activate their Pulsar Beam. And the Blink Stalker army, it's getting out of hand. It's snowballing out of control. And Mixu just doesn't have enough. GG gets called, and MaNa takes game number 1. Whew. GG. A solid game there from MaNa. Again, that earlier Twilight Council, the earlier blink timing did catch Mixu off guard. And again, it wasn't an all-in, but it did a surprising amount of damage. It caught, what was it, 4 queens to begin with. It caught 7 roaches. Just early on, the momentum was in favor of MaNa. And these were just expensive losses. Just too many expensive losses early on for Mixu. He just could not recover from that. Could not keep up. And did fall and stay behind there. GG with that, MaNa takes the lead, and we're diving into game number 2. Let's go. Let us go. See in chat, how does hosting this tournament work? ESL organize the events. ESL, they do have admins. They have a team of admins at their disposal, which they do rotate between or incorporate in ESL Open Cup Europe, Korea, and Europe, Asia, and Americas. There are different admins for each event, and of course they do run the event themselves, and they do have a selected amount of casters that are able to cover them, like ourselves, you know, Wardy, Steadfast, Artosis, Pig, and many others, Dave Testa, Chicken Man. Plenty of coverage going on, I'm sure. We'll kind of do our best to spread out. We do our best to avoid each other for the most part, to cover as much ground as possible, to cast as many matches as possible, and then eventually we all meet up in the semifinals and the grand finals thereafter. But for now, we're diving into game number 2, and spawning in the top left-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have our Polish Protoss player, the red Protoss representing Team Liquid, leading the series 1-0. It is MaNa. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner, we have the Finnish Zerg player, the blue Zerg representing Berserker Esports. It is Mixu. Let us go. But yeah, the ESL Open Cups, they've been running for many years at this point, ever since the beginning of the ESL Pro Tour. That would have been beginning of 2020. So 4 years, over 4 years of ESL Open Cups. You do love to see it. That's a lot of StarCraft, a lot of ESL Open Cups. Much love to ESL for hosting this, for running it, making sure it goes as smoothly as possible. Likewise, we do our best as well. Yeah, we've been casting ESL Open Cup since its inception, since the very beginning. Way back when. Originally, we only casted ESL Asia, then like after a couple of months, we started covering ESL Americas as well. There have been some weeks where we have missed things just because, you know, of other events or other tournaments or traveling. But for the most part, we've been consistent. We've been there, Pat. We've been there. Always. As we are settling in. Again, Mixu going for a hatch gas pull. Standard opener out of our Zerg player. MaNa likewise going for a Stargate opener back at home. And we'll see if MaNa does mix things up again. We shall see if MaNa does decide to go for another fast Twilight Council into Blink. I'm not too fond of that though. In general, when it comes to these more unorthodox builds, I'm not too fond of relying on them multiple times in a series, as we're going for a Ling Flood. We're cutting workers early on. We have Lings on the way. They're flooding across the map one way or another. The game is about to end. The wall's on the wall. The wall is wide open. Lings, they do threaten that. The boys are being pulled. Segment Depth has made it back home. We try to get the surround. The Lings are being cleaned up. So far, good defense out of MaNa, but probes are falling. Probes are falling, but we do fully wall off, and Mixu, he's still flooding Lings. Mixu is still rallying nothing but Lings across the map. Again, one way or another, either Mixu kills MaNa or he dies trying. As Mixu did cut workers at 20. Still more Lings flooding on out. The wall is solid again. MaNa, he's somewhat aware of what's been happening. Oracle's being sent out across the map. A solid wall. We have 3 adepts. Wargrade's still not done. And there's no Banelings with this. It's just purely a Ling Flood. As the Oracle does confirm the lack of saturation. Not just that, but we even punish it a little bit. So 2 drones go down. Dipping into the main, getting a third, getting not quite a fourth. But 3 drones will fall. Mixu still rallying across the map. We're going to be flooding across the map here. And from now, Mixu's droning. Now Mixu, it looks like he's recognized he cannot end the game. The Lings have been spotted, yeah. Lings have been spotted as well, and trying to transition out of this was not going to work. The all-in fails, and MaNa takes the series. GG. GG, well played. Mixu, he cut workers at 20, he went mass Ling, and trying to drone out of that is almost impossible at this level of play where you expect your opponent to be miles ahead. MaNa was ahead there, and again, Mixu, he just did not get enough damage done. He was unable to break through the Adept, he was unable to catch MaNa off guard, unable to bust into the mineral line, into the natural. The defense was just too solid at GG. Congratulations to MaNa as he does take the series 2-0. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations. With that, MaNa does advance on. And we are getting ready for our PvZ. Let's go. Just updating our lovely admins with what has been going on. And we have our next series. We have our next series. We have our next opponent. Exclamation mark B in the chat if you guys want to have a look at the bracket yourselves. The bracket still needs to be updated, but we have let the admins know, so they can get that underway.